Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Amin. I'm an assistant professor of bilingual and ESL education here at the University of Texas Permian Basin, which is located in Odessa in West Texas. I'm excited today because I'm going to talk about APA 7th edition, which is one of the most important writing styles. And it is very important for students, undergrad and graduate students, as well as faculty members and researchers, because whenever you want to submit an article to a journal, or it's an assignment that you want to work on and send it to your professor, most of the time you are required to follow APA guidelines. So we're going to see what APA is in the first place, and then how we can follow the APA guidelines, and we're going to talk about different sections of it in detail. So stay with me. Okay, as I said, we're going to talk about APA 7th edition. And hopefully after this video, you will have a better understanding of what APA 7th edition requires us to do as writers, as researchers. And also, I hope that the students find this useful because most of the time when they want to work on their assignments, their professors require them to follow APA 7th edition. So hopefully you will find this video useful. So I would like to talk about Purdue Online Writing Lab for a second, because most of the examples and the content of this presentation comes from Purdue Online Writing Lab. So I wanted to acknowledge all they have done over the years to educate people. It's an amazing website. I recommend you to go and check their website. It is owl.purdue.edu. Okay, let's just start with this question. What is APA style? But before that, what does APA even stand for? It stands for American Psychological Association, which is one of the biggest organizations or associations in the field of psychology, and they publish a manual in which they help researchers and writers how to follow APA guidelines. Now we have the 7th edition, so after a few years, I'm sure they will publish the 8th edition. So the focus of this presentation is on the most current version, which is the 7th edition of APA. So APA style establishes the standards of written communication concerning the organization of content, writing style, citing references, and how to prepare a manuscript for publication in certain disciplines. Why do we need to use APA? First of all, it makes it easier for readers to understand the paper, the text, because it looks familiar to them because of the structure. Also, it helps researchers to better organize their ideas and to better write, whatever they want to write using, a familiar structure and format. And also, it allows readers to focus more on your ideas by not distracting them with unfamiliar formatting, And also, it establishes credibility in the field by demonstrating an awareness of your audience and the needs as fellow researchers. But there's also another reason. Sometimes you're just expected to use APA. So your professor may ask you to use APA, or you want to submit an article to a journal and the journal requires you to follow APA, or you want to submit your thesis or your dissertation to a university and they require APA. So sometimes it's not your choice, but you have to learn APA and you have to follow it because you are expected to use it. So who should use APA? Undergraduate students, graduate students, faculty members, researchers, basically whoever wants to write paper in the field of, let's say, psychology, education, basically in social sciences, or in business or nursing. In humanities, it depends. Some of them use APA, some of them don't. So MLA, which is another, writing style or formatting style, that's also very common and popular in humanities. But in social science, as I said, in psychology, education, linguistics, sociology, economics, criminology, etc., or business and nursing, it is very common to use APA. So whether you are a student or instructor or a researcher, you need to learn how to use APA. So let's look at the agenda of this presentation. I try to divide this presentation into two parts. The first part, we're going to talk about APA formatting and writing style. And in the second part, the focus would be on APA citations and reference list. So APA formatting and writing style, it can be divided into three different categories: general APA formatting, then headings and footnotes and endnotes. Okay, so when we talk about general APA format, usually we mean the title page, the font size, body, abstract, reference page, and things like this. So now I'm gonna actually go back to a Word document that I created because I think it makes it easier for me to tell you how to, follow APA using a Microsoft document. First of all, I know that some of you may use Google Doc, some may use Microsoft Word document, or even other word processing applications. In this presentation, I'm going to use Microsoft Word document. So the first thing that I always recommend my students to do when it comes to following APA is to check the margins, because APA requires us to have a 1-inch margin. Okay, let's go to design. No, why do we go to design? Sorry. We go to layout, and then we click on margins, and you see usually it's the top one. It is called normal, which is 1 inch to the top, to the left, right, and button. So we're gonna choose this one. This is the one that APA recommends, 1 inch, all 4 different parts, top, left, button, and right. So that's it. So I click on home, going back to the main menu. Okay, the next thing which is very important is to check the line spacing. APA 7th edition requires us to have a double spacing all over the text. So in order to do that, we will go to the layout menu. You see a spacing here. I just click on this little arrow to get more settings. So, and here I can choose spacing, you see? So for line spacing, I should choose double. Very important. You choose double for the line spacing, but don't forget to set the before and after to 0. Otherwise, let me do this. Otherwise, there will be like a gap between the paragraphs. Also, you need to make sure to check or click this box as well, which is don't add a space between paragraphs of the same style. Otherwise, it would automatically add a space between the paragraphs. You don't want to do that. So let's review again. So let's go back to home. Okay, in order to check first, what did we do? We just check the margins. For margins, we go to layout, margins, normal, which is 1, 1, 1, 1. So we click on that, and then we go to spacing, click on this little arrow to see the settings, choose the line spacing as double, and before and after should be 0. And we should click this box. Don't add, we should check it. Don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. Okay, done. So let's go back to home again. So next, you should choose the font. Well, APA 7th edition does not restrict us when it comes to choosing the font, but it is very common to use Times New Roman. So why should we bother? Let's just use the font which is common all across academia, and a lot of professors prefer that. So we're going to choose Times New Roman, and the size should be 12. Okay, that's it. So Times New Roman, size 12. We already checked the margins, and we already changed the line spacing to double. You see line spacing to double. Okay. So now this is the time to work on the title page, which is very important. So in order to do that, we need to hit enter 4 times. So I'm going to hit enter 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need to click on this center option, or we can use Control E on a PC. So we do that. And now we can start actually typing the title. But remember, the title should always be bolded. So in order to do that, I can again use Control B, or just click on this B icon here. Okay, so I'm gonna type the title of my paper. I'm gonna be creative. So the Shawshank Redemption, which is my favorite movie. So I'm gonna write a sociolinguistic analysis of, let's say, the major characters. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple of important things regarding the title and the title page. First of all, as you can see, it is bolded. Okay. Second, all the words are capitalized except prepositions. What are the prepositions? For example, here we have of, we have they, a, and these are prepositions. So you may ask, why is they in the Shawshank Redemption capitalized but not here? Because if a preposition is at the beginning of the title, you can capitalize it. Actually, you should capitalize it. So that's why you see the Shawshank Redemption and the is capitalized here. However, here analysis of the major characters, the is not capitalized here. The same with a here, a sociolinguistic analysis, because it's after colon and it should be capitalized. So once again, all the words are capitalized except prepositions, but prepositions should be also capitalized if they are either at the beginning of the title or after the colon. Okay, so that's the title of my paper, for example. It would be an interesting paper, actually. Okay, so next, I need to write my name. But before that, some people use subtitles. For example, if the title is long or for any reason you want to do that, you can do that as well. You just hit enter. So this would be the title and the subtitle, if you can call it even that. Okay, so now in order to write your name, you need to hit enter again twice. 1, 2. So write your name. You know what? The Shawshank Redemption is sociolinguistic analysis of the major characters. So the writer should be Morgan Freeman, the actor. Okay, don't forget to capitalize Morgan Freeman. If Morgan Freeman is the only writer, this is how it will look like. However, he may have co-authors who, let's say Tim Robbins, the other actor in this movie. What if the director of the film also helped them and he was a co-author? So then now we have 3 co-authors. We cannot say and. What we do is we use comma. See, Morgan Freeman, comma, Tim Robbins, and Frank Darabont. Okay. So now we have the title and the author's name, but there is an issue. We do not use boldface in APA 7th edition for the author's name. So what we do is we can just select the names of these authors and just click on that B again, or just use Control B. There we go. Now, this is based on APA 7th edition because the title, we use boldface for it. It is bolded, but not the author's name. Okay, next we hit enter and we should write the name of the department and the university or the affiliation. Say Department of X, whatever that is. And then I put University of Texas, Permian Basin, where I teach currently. Okay, and then I hit enter again. Now is the time to write the course title, the course number. So let's say CILI. I just made it up. Cinema and Linguistics. Okay, for example, 681. And then you hit enter again, and we write the name of the instructor of the course, the professor. We just write my name. Yeah, after typing the name of the instructor of the course, we hit enter again, and it's the time to add the date. Some people add the due date. Some people add just the date when they just finished the paper or started the paper, whatever. I think it doesn't matter that much. So I'm going to put June 10th, 2022. And here we have it. So this is our title page. So the title is bold-faced. We used 4 different, we hit enter 4 times. Then we have the title and the subtitle, bold-faced. We hit enter twice. Then we have the names of the authors and the name of the university, the course name, the instructor's name, and the date. Also in the beginning, we check the margins. We set it to 1 inch on all sides. And also we check the spacing and we select the double, before and after 0, and we check this box. So there we go. We have the title page. Okay, now that we're done with the title page, it is the time to add the page number. There are several different ways that you can add page number to your file, but I'm going to teach you some of the easiest ones. The first one is just you go ahead and double click on this top part of the page in the header area, and then you can see this page number option here. So you click on it. APA 7th edition recommends page numbers to be at the top of the page to the right, which is this one. So there we go. We have the page number here. There's another way actually that you can add page numbers. So you can go to insert, and in this menu, again, we have the page number. So we choose top of the page and to the right. There we go. We have the page number. Just remember, when you will submit your thesis or dissertation to your university, don't be surprised if they ask you not to have a page number on the title page. So it is very common for them to ask you not to have a page number on the title page. But for student papers and just for class assignments, I think it's totally fine. So don't worry about it. Okay, so this is page 1. This is the title page. We already finished the title. Now we want to work on the abstract, okay? APA 7th edition does not require students to have abstracts. However, I know that many professors actually, they ask their students to include an abstract. So let's talk about how we can have an abstract based on APA 7th edition. So we basically go to the second page. I'm just gonna hit enter and go to the second page. And we start typing our abstract. So I did that just to save time. So I'm gonna just paste it here. You know what, let me do this. Okay, so imagine that this is my abstract. There are a couple of issues with it. First, the font. I need to change it again to Times New Roman 12, okay? And because I copied this from another document, so the line spacing, as you can see, is not double. So what I can do, this is actually another way for checking the line spacing. So I can select the text, right-click on it, go to paragraph, and see, line spacing was multiple. I choose double, and again, before and after, I set them to 0, and check the don't add a space between paragraphs of the same style. Hit OK, boom, now we have it. So this is the abstract, but still, there are a couple of things that we need to do. First, we need to just write abstract, then enter, but this abstract needs to go to the center part of the page. So we click on the center or Control E on a PC, and this needs to be bolded. So we click on that B or Control B. There you go. Now we have it, abstract. This is the abstract. And then for the keywords, this is very important. See, when we put keywords, colon, and then we type in the keywords, that word, keywords, it should be italicized. So you select it, you italicize it, and there is something else that we need to do with this. Okay, keywords at the end of the abstract needs to be indented, like the way that we indent a paragraph. So we need to set it to 1/2 inch. You see how I'm doing it? By just using this option here, you can choose the you can choose how you want to indent a paragraph, or in this case, just the keywords. And the APA 7th edition indenting is just based on 1/2 inch. So I just put it here. And by the way, if you don't see this ruler, this is called ruler. So you go to View, and you click on this, see? Ruler. So if you don't see this option, which is very useful, just go to View and check the ruler box. Now you can see that. Okay, so this is the abstract page. Okay, now that we learned how to create a title page and how to add our abstract to the paper, it's a good idea to look at different types of headings that we have in APA 7th edition. So first, let's look at this picture. It can help us to better understand headings. First of all, we can see, let's start with this method, okay? You can see method is a level 1 heading. A level 1 heading is always bold-faced, and it is actually in the center. Level 2 is bold-faced, but it is aligned to the left. Level 3 is aligned to the left. It is bold-faced, but it is also italicized. Level 4 and 5 are bold-faced. They are not italicized, but they are indented. So I don't think in student papers you will need like level 1 to 5 headings. It's not that common. However, it's always good to learn all these different headings. So now let me start typing, and I can show you how you can create headings. Okay, imagine that we want to start with an introduction. So I'm just going to type introduction. Again, boldface. We already learned how to do that. Center of the page, and that's it. This can be considered as a level 1 heading. Okay, so then obviously you would start writing from here, but we know that paragraphs should be indented, so we're going to talk about that later as well. Okay, now we should start writing the first paragraph. Don't forget that paragraphs are indented in APA 7th edition. This is how we do it. We choose 1/2 inch for indenting the paragraphs, and then we can start typing whatever. So I'm just gonna paste a paragraph as an example. Don't worry about the meaning or the context, whatever. This is just for teaching you how you can choose different headings. Okay, now we need a level 2 heading. Okay, a level 2 heading, it's not indented, so we need to take this back, and let's write, for example, I don't know, method, whatever. So level 2 heading is also bold-faced, but it is aligned to the left. Okay, now you can see that method is a level 2 heading. It is bold-faced and it is aligned to the left. So then you will start, writing whatever you want to write. So I'm just pasting the same paragraph. So again, paragraphs should be indented. So now you can see the difference between a level 1 heading and a level 2 heading, okay? And then for level 3, let's say I want to write procedure, but obviously you know that these headings should be related to the same, topic that you're discussing. So it's a general one, then you go through the details, but I'm just writing method, procedure, and things like that as examples. So let's talk about level 3 heading. So I'm just gonna type in sample, for example. Again, it should be boldface. It should I should align it to the left. The difference between level 2 and level 3 is that level 3 is italicized. Okay, so that's a level 3 heading now. So now you can see the difference. Level 1, boldface center. Level 2, boldface to the left. Level 3, bold-faced, aligned to the left, but italicized. Now let's talk about level 4 and 5, which I said it is really unlikely that you will use them in your student papers. So now we have level 1, level 2, level 3. For level 4, I'm just going to write tools. It's exactly like level 2. However, we need to indent it. So there you go. This is level 4. So let me zoom out so you can see the difference between level 1, level 2, level 3, which is italicized, level 4, which is like level 2, but it is indented. Okay, so I'm gonna, again, paste the paragraph. So what about level 5? Let me just type in compensations. So level 5 is exactly like level 3, which is bold, italicized, but again, it is indented. So level 4 and 5 are exactly like level 2 and 3. You see method and tools, they are exactly the same. Sample and compensations, they're exactly the same. The difference is that level 4 and 5, we need to indent them. And how do we do that? I already showed you, 1/2 inch. That's it. These are 5 different headings that we have, from level 1, which is boldface center, to level 2, boldface aligned to the left, level 3, boldface aligned to the left, italicized, level 4, which is exactly like level 2, boldface, but we just need to indent it, and level 5, which is similar to level 3, we boldface, italicize, and indent it. So, and whatever we have goes under it. That's it. It's a good time to look at just a paragraph as the body of the paper. There are many different issues in this paragraph, so we're gonna together go over this paragraph and fix it. So the first thing is that it doesn't look that the font is Times New Roman, because we need consistency in the paper. Okay, so I'm gonna change the font to Times New Roman again, the font size to 12, and I will right click on this, go to paragraph, line of spacing, I choose double, then 0, 0, and this box is already checked. So that's it. Here we go. So at least now it looks like the other parts of our paper. Okay, so don't forget, APA 7th edition requires us to indent the paragraphs. So how do we do that? It's very easy. I already showed you the way that you can activate the ruler option. So you go to view, you check this box, ruler, and here is very easy. The first line of the paragraph, we indent it to 1/2 inch. So that's it. So this is a long paragraph, as you can see. So, okay. So let's work on some of the problems here. Actually, I made these mistakes on purpose based on my experience of working with my undergraduate students. So these are some of the common mistakes that I see in their papers. First of all, after comma, a period, exclamation mark, basically any punctuation, we need 1 space. So that's why here you can see that there is something wrong. So we say the captain of the guards, comma, then we need a space. So comma space, period space, exclamation mark space, semicolon space, colon space, question mark space. So this is very important. So now we're good. So Microsoft Word document doesn't recognize this name, so that's why it shows. Let me just fix it. So okay. So that's one of the common mistakes. The students usually forget that there needs to be a space after each punctuation mark. Okay, another one is sometimes when they want to start a sentence, for example, after this period, instead of having only 1 space, they have multiple spaces. You can see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is wrong. We only need 1 space. Okay, so that's it. This is a good paragraph now. I'm not talking about the content, just the format. It is indented. The font size is 12 Times New Roman. Line spacing is set a double before and after is 0. We check the box for not adding a space between paragraphs. There is one space after each punctuation. It is indented, so it's perfect. But there are a couple of things that I would like to mention when it comes to paragraphs and paragraph development. Unfortunately, sometimes I see that my students, they just start a new paragraph for no reason. So the way that these paragraphs are made and are developed are based on the topics, you know. So generally speaking, we're writing about the topic in our paper. Then each paragraph deals with a, let's say, a subtopic. So when the topic changes, a new paragraph starts. So it's not like because this paragraph is longer, let me just divide it into 2 paragraphs. If it's about the one certain topic, that's okay to have a long paragraph. Just remember, whenever you start a new paragraph, it means you're starting a new subtopic. You know, you're talking about the main topic from another perspective. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. And the second thing is that sometimes paragraphs are very short. And when I say they are short, I don't mean how many lines they are. I don't care about that. What is important for us is that we have at least 3 complete sentences in one paragraph. So imagine that someone does this. This paragraph has only 2 complete sentences. One is here. Let me just change the color. It changed to red. And one is here. This is blue. So this is not a paragraph because we do not have at least 3 complete sentences. So always and always remember that a paragraph at least has 3 different sentences. Okay, we're done with this part as well. Now I would like to talk about footnotes. Honestly speaking, footnotes are kind of discouraged in APA, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on footnotes. However, there are different types of footnotes that you may want to use. Sometimes you want to add more information. Sometimes you want to acknowledge a source that you used, kind of talking about copyright. Sometimes you want to just introduce a book or something for further reading as a footnote. So it's up to you. I'm just going to show you how you can do it. So imagine in this sentence, in 1963, Norton begins exploiting prison labor for public works, blah, blah, blah. So imagine that I want to add something to this 1963 and also mention that Norton did something else as well in my footnote. So what I do, I select this part, which is 1963 in this case, because I want to have the footnote number here. And then I go to references. And on the references, I click on insert footnote. As you can see now, there's like a little number 1 here on top of this part that I selected. And also we have a footnote here. So here I can also mention Norton also did whatever in 1963. So you can see that I'm just giving more information. Or I can say, I can write C, for example, Brown 2007 for more information, or things like this. Okay, so footnotes are as I said, are kind of discouraged in APA, but this is how you can create the footnotes. Okay, now that we are kind of done with APA formatting and writing style, it is the time to talk about APA citations and reference lists, which is very important. And you know, most of the time students struggle with in-text citation and different types of citations that we have in APA. So basically, I can divide APA citations and reference lists into 2 categories, in-text citation and references. Obviously, each one has several different, subsections and a lot of detail. So this is going to be an important part of this presentation. And we're going to start with in-text citation and talking about different types of in-text citation that we have in APA 7th edition. Okay, so now let's talk about in-text citation, which is very important in APA 7th edition. So first of all, why do we cite other people's work? Because we want to acknowledge what they have done in the field. Also, we would like to show that we are familiar with the literature, with that topic, so that we can build upon what people have already done in that field and probably come up with a new argument. So there are different types of in-text citation. So I'm going to start with the basic ones. So imagine that this is just a paragraph. I'm using different colors to make it kind of easier for us. So the first three sentences, nothing. And then here we have Garcia, 2009, believed that something. So this red line, this sentence comes from Garcia. However, it is not what Garcia exactly said, because in that case, it would be a direct quotation. This is not a direct quotation. We don't see any quotation marks here. So this is an indirect quote or indirect quotation. So it means that we read what Garcia wrote, and we understood that this is the argument that Garcia had in that specific paper or book. So these are not the exact words that Garcia used, but these are similar to the phrases or to the words that was used by Garcia. Basically, the meaning or the interpretation is the same. Okay, so when we have one author, we just put the year in parentheses. And because we don't have, it's not a direct quote, as I said, we don't need to put page number. So one of the common mistakes, you don't put page numbers for indirect quotes, just the year. The second example, I actually did it on purpose so that I can show you different types of, in-text citation. This paper or book, it had actually two authors, Hall and Cunningham. So how do we say Hall and Cunningham as the, like in the in-text citation? We just use and very easily. We just say Hall and Cunningham and then put the year in parentheses, okay? And again, this is an indirect quote. What if the paper or the book that we are citing was written by more than two authors? In the past, we would list the names of the authors at least once, and then we would use etal the second time. However, in APA 7th edition, even if it is the first time that we are citing an article or a book or whatever that was written by more than two people, even the first time that we are citing them, we just put etal. So we put the name of the first author, in this case, Galloway, and then we put E-T space A-L, period. According to Galloway et al., 2021. And this is exactly similar to Garcia 2009 in terms of being just an indirect quote. But here, because we had more than two authors, we just list the last name of the author, then with et al., period, and the year of the publication. Okay, so just remember, in all these examples, we only use the last name. However, sometimes when you're citing people, you're basically just writing their argument, their idea, and then at the end of the sentence, you want to put their names, and basically you want to cite them at the end of the sentence in a parenthesis. So how do we do that? Okay, so imagine that let me just do this. I want to change this sentence. Garcia 2009 believed that while nations, blah, blah, blah. So if we want to write it that way, just going to show you exactly how you can do it. So for example, we say, while nations tend to be linked with one language, communities living within nations have a varied linguistic makeup. Again, this is not something that we said. This is Garcia's idea, but again, these are not Garcia's words. This is not a direct quote. It's an indirect quote. So what we do here is we actually put Garcia, comma, the year, parenthesis, and that's it. So now you can compare this type of writing and citing an author and this one. So if it's not at the end, it's not in parentheses, Garcia, which is the last name, we type it, and then we put the year in parentheses. Otherwise, it would be the last name, comma, and the year. So let's do this with the others, because each one is different based on the number of authors that a work has. So here we said Hall and Cunningham 2020 argued that something. Imagine this time we say possessing proper language skills has been expected of blah, blah, blah. And this is not, again, something that we said. This is Hall and Cunningham's idea. However, it's not a direct quote again, it's indirect. So what we do, we add their names, exactly like the one that we did with Garcia. However, there's a big difference. So when we have two authors and we are just referring to them like this one, Hall and Cunningham, we just write and. Otherwise, we don't write and, we just use ampersand, which is like this. So if it goes in parentheses, it should look like this one, Hall and Cunningham, comma, 2020. Okay, so let's go to the third example, the one that we use etal, okay? So imagine that we want to, again, cite the authors at the end of the sentence. Let's just review again. This is not a direct quote, it's an indirect quote, so we don't need page numbers, we don't need quotation marks. So here, the only difference that we have between these two, okay, let me just highlight this one, is that there is an extra comma after the period after that al. Okay, you see? So according to Galloway et al., there is no comma here, 2021. But here, if we add it, like we put it in parentheses at the end of the sentence, there is a comma. So we should add that one. Let's just compare the other ones by highlighting them. So you can see here the difference is whether we write and or we use an ampersand, or here it's just very easy. Either we have the author's name in parentheses and we separate that with a comma with the year of publication. So these are the basics of in-text citation. We started with one author, two authors, and multiple authors. Now, let's imagine that you are just writing something like this sentence. Bilingual teachers need to attend more professional development, let's say programs, to increase their knowledge and improve their teaching styles. This is something that Brown in 2010, say Damian et al. In 2019, Freeman 2008, you 2022 said. Okay, again, this is what all these people said, but these are not the exact words, as this is an indirect quote. So this is an interpretation that we have here. But again, although it's not a direct quote, it's not exactly what they said, we need to acknowledge their work because we got this idea from them, and we should also argue that they believed in this. So the reason that I decided to have this example here is that I wanted to show you how you can list different works, you know, in parentheses at the end of a sentence. It is very important. You do not sort them based on the year of publication. As you can see, Brown is 2010, however, you is 2022, but Brown goes first. Why? Because we sort them exactly the way that we sort the references at the end, which is based on the first letter of the last name alphabetically. So we sort them alphabetically. Obviously, B, D, F, and Y. Okay, so again, here is exactly similar to the ones that we already discussed. This is how we write them. The only difference is that when we have multiple papers, books, whatever we are citing and putting them in parentheses at the end of the sentence, we need to separate them by a semicolon. You see? There's a semicolon at the end of each one, except obviously the last one. Okay, here again, you can see the same structure. Brown, comma, 2010 is exactly like that Garcia 2009. Damian et al. We have period and comma, and the year is exactly like this one, Galloway et al. Period, comma. If it's outside the parentheses, I told you don't need a comma. And the rest. Okay, so this is also important to learn how to sort all these references at the end of your sentence. Okay, now that we learned how to use in-text citation for indirect quotes, it is the time to focus on direct quotes. And this can be tricky. I see a lot of students who usually, struggle when it comes to direct quotes and how to use a proper in-text citation for that. So this is very important. again, I have two examples here. So I have, according to Larson Freeman, this is the last name of the author. It's not first and last name. We only use the last name. And in this case, the author's last name is hyphenated. So this is one last name. It's like Jackson. It's like Brown. Okay. According to Larson Freeman 2019, you see we put the year in parentheses, and then we have a comma. And here the quote starts. So this is not like the ones that we already discussed, which were kind of the ideas of the author, but we were paraphrasing them. We didn't use the exact same, words that they used. But here, this is exactly what Larson Freeman in 2019 said. And she said, teachers, see, I start the quotation here, quotation marks, teachers may need to enforce normative practices depending on the goals for learning. And here's the end of the quote. So obviously, again, we use a quotation mark to show that this is the end of the quote. So in this form, I use the author's last name and then put the year in parentheses. Then I have the quote. And at the end, I have the page number in parentheses, which is very important. Always and always for direct quotes, we need to have the page number. So if the quote was only on one page, we put P, period, then the page number. If, for example, you're citing a quote, a direct quote, and the direct quote was in on two different pages, you put P period 72-73, for example. But in this case, that would be like this. See, if this quote was on two different pages, so I would put PP.72 to 73, for example. But in this case, it was only on page 72. So you can see that I refer to the author's last name and the year, then the quote begins, and then we have the page number. Sometimes you can do it in another way. For example, in this example, which is basically the same quote, I said, considering the situation, then then the quote begins, teachers may need to enforce normative practices depending on the goals for learning. So again, quotation mark, and this time in parentheses, obviously we need to add the author's last name, Larson Freeman, then comma, year, 2019, then comma, page number, P period 72 in this example. Okay, now that you learned the basics of in-text citation for direct quotes, it is the time to focus on quotes which are kind of longer. So let's look at this example here. You say, although several researchers argue that input is the most important element in language learning, others believe that second language learners need more than input to successfully learn a language. So this is not a quote. But then here we say, for example, Larson Freeman 2019 argued that, you see the quote begins here. Second language learners are not whatever, and it ends here, okay? Let me just put the quotation mark so that you can see. So this is the quote. It's a direct quote. This is the exact words that Larson Freeman 2019 used on page 73. So what's wrong with it? We are following exactly the same model that we use for the other direct quotes that we use. However, there's a big difference. Here, as you can see, the quotes are shorter, it's just one or two sentences. However, this is a long quote. And when we say a long quote, we mean more than 40 words. So how can you count the number of words? Obviously, you're not going to count them manually. So you just select the quote, okay, from the beginning until the end, and then you go to review. You click on this review. There's a word count option here, and it tells you about the pages, characters, paragraph, lines. But what we need in this example is just the number of words, which is 76. So it is more than 40. So when it is more than 40, we cannot just put it like this, like the other direct quotes in quotation marks. What we need to do is, first of all, we need to hit enter. So it goes to the next line, and then get rid of the quotation marks. Although it's a direct quote, because it's long, we're not using direct quotes. So I'm just deleting the direct quotes. Okay. Something interesting. We put the page number after the punctuation. In this case, it's a period. Okay. And then we select the quote and we go to the home menu, we need to indent it. This is indented by 1/2 inch, but it's not enough. We also need to justify this. It's a block quotation, as we call it. Okay, so let me do this. So you can see all the lines should be, the margin for them would be like 1/2 inch. So it's a block, as you can see. So you just select it, you choose 1/2 inch. See, it was like this. You do it for both parts, first line, the last line. Okay, so it is blocked. Also, you click on this justify option. This is not acceptable for a direct code. You need to justify it. There we go. It's a block code. So block code is a direct code, which is more than 40 words. We don't use quotation marks. We block it. We use 1/2 inch, and we justify it, and we put the page number after the punctuation. Obviously, I'm using just these different colors to help you to understand what I'm doing better. In a real paper, the color would be just black. Okay, so that's it, block quotation. Okay, now that we're done with indirect, direct, and block quotations, it's the time for us to look at those examples that do not necessarily have page numbers or year of publication. So let's look at these examples. So if there are no page numbers, you can include any of the following in text citation. Paragraph numbers are visible, and we don't have page numbers, so we're going to use the paragraph numbers. Look at this example. In this example, which is a direct code, the source is National Museum of Australia. Then we have comma n dot d dot comma para.4. ND stands for basically no date, so it doesn't have year of publication and things like that. It doesn't have a page number, but it is easily identifiable for the reader to find paragraph 4. So we just put paragraph 4 here. But what happens if the document contains headings but no page numbers or paragraph numbers? In that case, we just put the heading plus a paragraph number within that section. So look at this one, National Museum of Australia, again, ND, no date. This is the heading, the catalyst for change section, and paragraph 1. So just bear in mind that the whole idea behind this in text citation, adding year, page number, if it doesn't have page number, paragraph, or the section and everything, we do this because we want to help the reader to find that article or that quotation in case that person is interested in checking out the original document, the original article. So whatever we do it to help the reader to easily identify and find the original quote. So if the heading is too long, we can shorten it. For example, the heading in this example is Alec Jackamus recalls petition gathering for the referendum with Doug Nichols. So in this case, we're just shortening the heading to petition gathering. Again, we put National Museum of Australia, no date. The heading is long, so we shorten it, put just petition gathering, and then paragraph 1. And if the section has a heading but no paragraphs or number, we can just use the heading. For example, imagine that it doesn't have even this paragraph 1, so we just put the heading. These are really rare cases. I don't think you will be dealing with a lot of them, but it's not a bad idea to just learn how to use direct quotes from sources which do not have either page numbers or year of publication, or some of them have headings, long headings, short headings. Okay, now it's time to talk about the reference page. So we usually use journal articles, books, book chapters. These days we may use podcasts, videos, even in our essays actually to have some direct quotes from people and stuff like that. So how are we going to organize the reference page? APA 7th edition has detailed guidelines on how we should list the references. So this is owl.purdue.edu that we already talked about in the beginning of the presentation. I mentioned that most of the examples that I'm using are from actually this website. It's a great website for learning different writing styles, including APA 7th edition. So if you scroll down and you see APA style 7th edition here, and we go to reference list, first of all, there are like basic rules and everything that we can review. But here, it helps us to learn how we can list references based on the name of, based on the number of authors. For example, if you have single author, first we put the last name, then followed by the author initial, and then the year of publication, then we put the name of the article, then the publisher, depending on if it's a journal article or it's a book and things like that. If you have 2 authors, how do we do that? 3 to 20, and a lot of different examples are here. But I'm interested in talking about a couple of them because they are very useful, I guess. So if you look at this example, for example, this is an article in an electronic journal, which I assume that most of your references will come from articles in electronic journals these days. So basically, we list the authors by last name, then initial, dot, comma. If you have more than one, obviously we use ampersand here again. And then we have the title of the article. You see it's not boldface, it's not even italicized, but then we have the name of the journal. The name of the journal should be italicized. Then we have obviously the issue and the volume number, the pages, and also we have the DOI, Digital Object Identifier, which is basically a link that can help your readers to easily find that article if they want. So if I click on this DOI link, it goes to that article. So not every article in an electronic journal has a DOI, but most of them these days have. If they don't, again, there are guidelines here teaching you how you can list those references as well. So if you're using electronic sources, if you're using videos, because there are several different, examples, there are actually hundreds of different ways of doing this based on the source. So I'm not going to talk about each one in detail. I will put the link somewhere down below so that you can come and learn this and check this. However, I'm going to teach you a trick that can help you to save a lot of time. And also, it's very good because you can almost be sure that you're doing it correctly. Because even if you practice this and memorize all the rules and things like that, at times you may not remember if you need a comma here or you don't need. So you have to come back and check, which is totally fine. But this strategy that I'm going to introduce helps you to save a lot of time. So imagine that this is an article that I used in my paper, whether it was a literature review paper or just an essay or whatever. So I cited these authors and this is the article. Now I want to add it to the reference list, to the references of my paper. So what can I do? I can easily go ahead and use the guidelines here and start doing it manually. I start by putting the last name, then initial, then the name of the article, then the journal's name, italicize it, page number, volume, issue, everything. Or I can easily go to Google Scholar, just copy paste the title of that article. You should be kind of careful because sometimes articles, they have very similar titles. You should find the one that you really want. So although I'm just copying the title, I want to pay attention to the author's name as well. So I paste it here and I search. And as you can see, this is the paper, Translanguaging Pedagogies for Positive Identities in Two-Way Dual Language Bilingual Education by Garcia Mateus and Palmer in Journal of Language Identity and Education. This is the paper. So why did I do that? Because here, as you can see, there is a cite button. If I click on this, it gives me several different options from MLA to Chicago, Harvard, other types of writing styles, as well as APA. So I can easily copy this, go to my reference page, and just paste it. And I can be sure that this is the correct formatting. So I'm gonna do this for another article again, so you can see how I'm doing it. This one is called Two-Way Immersion Teacher Preparation by Sally Hood. So imagine that I used this article in my paper, so I'm gonna list it in the reference section of my paper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paste the title of the article again in Google Scholar search bar. When I find this, I click on Cite, and different options. I want the APA. I copy, go to my reference list, and just paste it. Okay. So you know that when you want to paste something into Word document, it gives you several different options. So usually the one that you can use and it's better is just the merge formatting, or just keep source formatting, but sometimes it just changes the format that you want. But don't worry about that, because no matter what, we need to talk about it, and it's very important. So I have the references here, so these are my references. As you can see, there is something wrong with the formatting. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just trying to help you to remember some of the basics of APA 7th edition. So first of all, I go to paragraph, right click, paragraph, line spacing double, 0, 0. I check this. See, I need to check this box, click on OK. Okay, at least it looks better now. We have double line spacing. What's next? Next, it is time for indenting it. This is called hanging indent, meaning that we indent by ½ inch, not the first line, except the first line. So let me do it again. There are several different ways you can do this, but the easiest way is to use the ruler. And once again, if you don't see the ruler, you go to View, you click on this ruler so that you can see that. Okay, so you just drag this by ½ inch, except the first line of each reference. Here we go. So it's the correct format for references. We don't need any space here. But still, there is something wrong with my reference list. As you can see, this is Garcia, starts with G, then we have H, then we have B. So it means that I haven't sorted it like alphabetically. I haven't sorted the reference list alphabetically. So what I should do is I select them again. So it's under Home menu. You see this AZ and that arrow button. So I click on it. It should be on paragraphs, text, and ascending. Then I click OK. So it automatically sorts the references, actually alphabetically. So you can see that now it is sorted alphabetically. I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to talk about the details of APA 7th edition, and especially focus on those parts which are more common for students when you write your student papers. But obviously, there are many, many areas that I didn't talk about. And again, I highly recommend you to use Purdue OWL website, which is an amazing source to learn APA 7th edition and even other writing styles. So I'm going to put my email somewhere here. And feel free to email me if you have any questions, and I will add some more information in the description of the video, and hopefully I will create more videos like this. I hope you enjoy it. Have a good one. Bye.